History Theater and Vail Communities have been working together. Now, the exact time is unknown. It's lost in the mists of time. But it was either 2013 or 2014. I'm not exactly sure. It was pre-COVID, so who knows? But it was a long time ago. So we've been doing this for a long time. And one thing I want to tell you, if you haven't seen this work before, or even if you have and you didn't know this, the process is like this. 2 teaching artists from History Theater go to the clubhouses, and they go over a series of 15 classes in the fall and another 15 classes in the sort of winter spring, and the members and the teaching artists work on sort of personal histories, personal stories. The teaching artists come in with prompts, the members write a bunch of beautiful stuff, and then as we get closer and closer to this evening, they start to weave it together, little bits and pieces that they've done. So you'll only be seeing really a sliver of the work that they have done over the past year. The thing that I will say that always sort of blows me away when I work with and see the work that gets done by the folks at Vail Communities is my belief, my true belief, is that everyone in this audience, you, them, us, everybody, has stories to share that are important and that have meaning. It's not just about people who are in history books, it's about all of us together. So tonight, you're going to hear stories, some of which might sound very familiar. So they are about things like, and I made a little list here, I won't read all of it, but I'll read some of it. Things like marriage, divorce, skiing, cabin life, Valentine's Day, bad breakups, family relationships, lost friends, siblings, skateboarding.
But wait, there's more.
So, and there is more. That's just, again, just a small piece of it. So it's our stories, I think, that bind us together, the things we have in common. But the thing that makes the folks at Vail Communities so special is they face all of the things we face on a day-to-day basis with a degree of grace and perseverance that is mighty. But they also face things we don't face. And you'll hear a little bit about some of that today too. Life with a diagnosis and the complications that can bring.
I always say this, like, I should go first, because after following Paul, everything sounds terrible. First and foremost, I want to echo the gratitude to all of you for joining us and for making this event as magical as it is. You know, as Paul talked about it, whether it be 12 or 13 years, this has been the marrow of our bones for some time. And I think to a member who participates in this experience, it's something that they talk about as being life-changing. An esteemed colleague of mine, a member, and for those unfamiliar, the Clubhouse model doesn't identify people as clients or patients or people with a lived experience or consumers. We talk about our community as members and staff, working side by side as colleagues. And one of my esteemed colleagues, who may be in the room, talks about Clubhouse being about 3 things: recovery, opportunity, and community. And I think in some ways, each of those pieces is touched tonight in a way that I hope that you are both able to join in and celebrate with them. Because recovery, one of the things we talk about in the club, and one of my favorite questions is, what does recovery look like? And people outside are like, what? Is that an interview question, really? But it's a great question because no recovery story is the same. And as you'll see today, there are amazing recovery stories, represented on the stage and in hundreds of other stories that run through the club. Opportunity, I've had many folks say that they never thought, wished, wanted to be on stage in their life, and they'll be up here tonight. And that opportunity isn't just about being able to, kind of perform and share a story, but it's about being able to demonstrate a level of kind of confidence and control and ability to make difference in the world that maybe people never thought was possible. And community, this is it. We talk about the Clubhouse is not a treatment, it's not a therapy, it's not a medicine, but it's one of the most powerful interventions out there. Community is at the heart of almost all of our healing. None of those other things is going to be as nearly as effective without all of us supporting one another. Now, I think one of the things that, Paul mentioned, I hope that you're able to do all the things and be present here with us, but I hope that you are able to own that you are part of this community, whether you're in the clubhouse today or not. That your support here, your support in all the ways that you've done over the years and will into the future is essential to making this recovery possible. And I really want to just say thank you.
His story, her story, my story, your story. This story, the one we've all gathered here for, we welcome you to the Vail.
Stardust. When I saw the northern lights in Alaska, it had just snowed. There were moose and bear in the woods rumbling around me. The clouds were starting to break and the stars were touchable. After a while, a little aurora began. Within minutes, the entire sky glowed. So much that it bounced off everything around me, sparkling like glitter with fresh snowfall. The frozen snow was lime green and bright purple. It was magical. When she danced in the sky, I started to sing with joy. This was making my heart so happy because I can no longer physically dance. I sing the body electric. I celebrate the me yet to come. Gosh, a neighbor yells. I got lucky to experience this for 3 days in a row, from dusk to dawn, which made my trip to my brother so much better, a form of healing I never knew that I needed. Coming back to Minnesota, I've seen them numerous times, the last couple of years. Each time is always amazing. Some nights, my pain and illness withhold me from walking over to the lake to see them better. So I take advantage of my bedroom window. Although not as clear and a fear of missing out, I appreciate the accessibility and hanging out with my cats. Until I got my mobility scooter last year. Coordinating said device and his other needs, as most of us know here, can be very timely and challenging. But one night when a geometric storm happened, I raced over the lake in it, which really means not going very fast at all, an entire 6 to 8 miles per hour. Seems like a lifetime, but then scooting around the corners, up and down the hills, with a big smile, juggling my recording device while singing, without trying to miss the substorm, as that was the best part. I managed to make it to witness pillars and beads of amazing colors fill the sky, all while reflecting off the water, with loons and swans freaking out in the background, so I rejoiced together. It went on for hours, and I stayed until my phone died. Having a scooter and being in nature after being displaced due to crisis has been a game changer. The wildlife and the night sky has saved my life, but so has this class. At Ramco Clubhouse, I am thankful for the teaching artists with History Theater and Vail staff to help me process writing prompts in safe spaces every Thursday, and the opportunity to perform in front of you, all of you tonight. Thank you.
I'm Sarah. Seems like yesterday it dawned on me the power that little foil stars on the kindergarten wall still have over me. While I still couldn't see over windowsills, I was formatted and began to perform for praise and stickers. Very much trained for more school, but not at all for life. It pains me to see how, in various ways, I'd go on to mostly unknowingly sleep through my life, largely for fear of getting hurt. I literally slept 20 plus hours a day in the first years I was disabled. They diagnosed it as depression, but that was autistic burnout. I've been realizing, in concert with the great wave of late diagnosed autistics, perhaps all of them survivors of trauma like me, that masks we've worn and ways we've coped are not who we are. I, in particular, am not try to make no ripples. I'm not take no space. I'm not an island. I'm not my worn out, super limiting roles so easily slipped into and such a struggle to escape. Little sister, teacher's pet. Some, like those, are sticky. Some are less, like caricatures I've attempted as a people-pleasing effort in which I try to match how I heard myself described. Did you ever try to be an adjective just in case it had been a compliment? I am not stuck with the dismal outcomes which my very limited interpersonal repertoires lead me to, like a paper doll with just one outfit. At least I want freedom from these limits. Now that I'm awake to them, I also want to understand. Like many other late diagnosed folks, I could tell you lots of things about myself on the order of opinions and nervous system quirks, but I'm concerned that my true self isn't someone I'd recognize. That is, if she exists under all the masks I wear. Did she even make it out of her seed pod? Or did all the freeze, all the fawn, shut her all the way down, turn her away, tell her to hide forever? While she was still small and so unwelcome here. While I was little, I obsessed on Sleeping Beauty. I believe I felt I was her. But I did wonder if I couldn't also have that other role, because it was the prince who got to fight through thorns to wake Beauty up, break her out of the tower, and I did want that too. Lately, this feels just so real, and any given moment I wonder if I'm still dreaming and hacking through briars. Was it all those cautionary tales, all those women and my dad warning me about knights who did not turn out so shining? Because perfectionism put herself on the lookout, and Goody Two-Shoes was hoovering up anything like a life lesson from anybody else at 50 paces. They'd got the idea I should pick my way through life as through dangerous quagmires without a single mistake. Something in that must be what keeps Beauty asleep and the hero encumbered by treacherous thorns. Nearly 4 years ago, I qualified for a caddy waiver. It's yet to materialize. Art therapy was the exciting path that it was meant to open for me, to help me find my hidden self. Until the stars align, my waiver only exists in Ramsey County's computers. What it pays for is waiting, but I could not. And at Vail, I've been able to practice being awake and showing up so imperfectly, unsiloing myself, and I've started learning from my own mistakes. I've come across remarkable peers, found friends, and tried new things.
Music has always helped me with my emotions, especially when I need to grieve. The song Stitches by Shawn Mendes helped me get over this guy I was crushing on, and it helped me get over him. When my uncle Ed died suddenly 2.5 years ago, it was the song How Do I Say Goodbye by Dean Lewis. I remember being in a medical taxi, listening to NPR on the radio, going to my first urology appointment after my second kidney stone. And that's when I cried my first tears for him. It also helped me grieve my dad, who passed away suddenly in October. The chorus of the song goes, how do I say goodbye to someone who's been with me for my whole damn life? You gave me my name and the color of your eyes. I see your face when I look at mine. So how do I say goodbye?
My name is Shannon. My story starts with trauma. I have faced many adversities, also known as hardships, through my life. Many of the adversities I have faced have been abuse of all kinds, drug use, mental illness, and suicide attempts. Over the years of my life, I've learned to stand tall and accept these adversities. I have overcome so many obstacles in my life. I have chosen to not allow these adversities to define who I am as a person. I have learned a lot from these adversities that I've experienced. It was not until the death of my sister when I was 16 that I was diagnosed with mental illness. But I never believed the doctors when they said I had depression, anxiety, PTSD, and borderline intermittent explosive disorder. But as years went on, I started to see it within myself. I would see myself changing like a color wheel. Every day I would become different and I would define myself as the devil. But I knew that wasn't me as a person, it was just my illness. But now I don't let it take over my life like I used to. And it doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. It just means that I have been through trauma and I'm still human. I have become a very strong person throughout this journey. I am a true survivor. I'm overcoming trauma now and advocating for mental health. And now I say this, still I rise. Thank you for allowing me to share my story.
Hi, my name is Allie. This is going to be called Moonlit Madness. I saw the bright moon and stars even though my spine was shattered. I called out to God and to my mom. He was dumping out all his booze and paraphernalia. The boulders of Montana surrounded me, but it did not matter. Nothing mattered. He would not call 911, even though my spine was shattered, my sternum was cracked. He did not care. Only the moon cared. It was the only sign of light. His narcissism and the sky were pitch black. The moon and stars led me on a path to the road to be rescued. They were true. He was a lie, all lies. The brilliance at 3 a.m. was a savior. It was a God to me. I struggled through boulders, thorns, and a wire fence to the road. He rescued me. The trucker's lights shined in my sickened, fearful face. I cried out, and so did the moon.
Hi, my name is Sarah, and this piece is called A Day of Psychosis. Rocking back and forth in space, floating freely as I look back at the voices, I am not able to make them out. I just swat them back like flies as my eyes roll back to catch them around my ears. Unicorns dancing in my head as I grab at shimmers of myself, walking among the stars on the boulevard. Crashing down in the night, I hear their screams. Looking for me are jailers around every corner. I run through the maze in my mind, trying to slow down, but not able to catch myself. I wait for them to push me to the ground. I scream slightly in my mind. I can't breathe. What color is this?
Does it feel good to be alive? Does it feel safe to be alive? When the leaves begin to yellow, how do you know if it is sickness or death and rebirth? Natural or unnatural? How sick is too sick? At what point do we treat the rot deep in our roots? I have been lost, walking blindly in the fog. The heavy silence before the storm. But now I see I am the storm. I am the eye of the storm. And now we are here together, in the center of the unfolding, in the heart of the community, at the threshold of change. The clouds have parted for this moment. Are you willing to take the step? Are you willing to walk into your shadow? I'm excited to see what we can find.
I'm Richard. 3, 2, 1. If I could wave a magic wand and make mental illness disappear, I would. If I could wave a magic wand and have state representatives, state senators, county commissioners, and DHS fund mental health programs, and especially Vail Communities, I would. If I could wave a magic wand and have mental health and clubhouses funded throughout the nation, I would. If I could wave a magic wand and people would support mental health and clubhouses and Vail Communities, I would. If I could wave a magic wand and I could help people find their way to Clubhouse so they could get help with employment, housing, education, their mental health, and find community, I would. If I could wave a magic wand. But it's not up to me. It's up to all of you. Thank you. Mutton busting. When I was about 4 years old, I was watching my favorite cowboy show, Roy Rogers. It was at my Grammy's grandmother Gatewood's farm. At some point, I left the TV and wandered into the barnyard. Somehow, I got on a sleeping sheep. The sheep got up quickly and took off down the lane, with me holding on tightly. We went down the lane till the sheep noticed the gate at the end of the lane. It stopped, but I did not. I went flying off and landed with a thud a few feet in front of the gate. I got up crying and ran back down the lane. Then I heard my dad calling my name. My dad and one of my brothers had come looking for me. I emerged from the lane crying and saying, "The sheep bucked me off," again and again. And my dad carried me inside and had me explain. It was a mutton busting event for sure, and this story was told at many family gatherings.
I think I started skiing when I was 3 years old or older at Nubs Now ski area in Michigan. I skied at different ski areas in Michigan and Minnesota. One day I went skiing at Highland Hills in Bloomington, Minnesota in 5th grade, 1971 with my younger sister, Janie. She told me to go down this one hill and I heard it was icy. I didn't want to go down the hill, so I sat down slowly, and all of a sudden I was going so fast I was passing people. I tumbled down with my right ski boot on, ski boots still on my ski, and it wouldn't come off. I was in the middle of the ski hill laying down on the snow in agony. I was waiting for the emergency ski patrol to take me away in a toboggan ride that hurt like hell. They were trying to get my boot off, but it wouldn't come off because my foot was too swollen. I had to go in an ambulance. I went to Fairview Southdale Hospital in Edina. The hospital people couldn't get my ski boot off, so I'm sure they had to saw it off. They did. And I had to stay in the hospital for a long, long time. Overall, I had a lot of people visit me. I got cards and flowers. I missed going to the circus, and I was in a huge cast on my right leg up to my groin. I used to have crutches and had a walking cast too. I broke my leg in 2 places below my right knee.
Hi, I'm Michelle. This one time at boot camp, I took a swimming test. While it sounds easy enough, it wasn't. I was the first to jump off a platform into a 20 feet deep pool of water. No big deal, right? Wrong. I have a fear of deep water, like a fear of the ocean. Why did I ever choose the Navy? Why didn't I go into the Air Force? So me and a shipmate were the first to go. When they said jump, I immediately crossed my arms and stepped off the platform. My shipmate hesitated. At the bottom of the pool was a Navy SEAL. They were there in case something happened. As I surfaced, I kicked him in the head. When I got to the surface, I had to tread water for 15 minutes. There was a group of us in a circle treading water. The SEAL surfaced, looked right at me, pointed and said, You kicked me in the head. You may be the only one to kick a SEAL in the head and live. I still tread water for the whole time, terrified of the water, but maybe more so of the man.
This is by a member named Kate, who couldn't be here tonight. I want to live again. I can hear the robins chirping with their 4:30 a.m. alarm. Am I annoyed? Maybe a little. But how can one be annoyed with robins telling me I've made it another day? Hip, hip, hooray, as quickly as the nightmare voices erupted in my head one September day. The electrodes made the clamoring of cymbals stop crashing. The bottom of the dark, decaying well had a glimmer like cascade it down, and it was in that moment that I saw the rope light reemerged, and I got to grab the rope and climb out of the well. ECT allowed the sunshine to come back out and play.
One, two, three. It's an anger symphony. Ha da da da. Am I laughing or crying? Telling ha, truth or lying? It's all built up. I don't give a fuck. Looky, looky. It's an anger symphony. Man, I'm bummed. Yep, so out of luck. The red spills down. I'm sick of this town. Call me crazy. It's an anger symphony. By the strength of will, I will succeed. By the cool chill, I've always been me. Ah, ha da da da. Am I human? I am. It's an anger symphony. Give a fuck but a cold ass clam. Again, I'm shutting up me. It's for you, and boy, that's tough. Toy heart inside you. Don't be so prideful. Giggity giggity. It's an anger symphony. Call me love bug, baby. Ah, insane as me. It don't work, buddy. Such a jerk, nutty. Bing boom. It's an anger symphony. By the things I think in poems we glow. Look at you. Danger time to drop, I know. Ha da da da. Am I laughing or crying? Living or dying? Fascination with burnt toast. You thought you knew, that's what hurts the most. Come on, judge not. It's an anger symphony. Check out dudes like a burnt piece of macaroni. Come on, come on.
Hello, my name is Melanie, and I will be reading my poem in English and Spanish. So, poem number 1. In the evening glow in a swirl of fabric, I slipped into a beautiful white dress. The mirror smiled back, capturing the happy as I twirled. The world a stage, a college graduate. I remember in May 2016, I searched for a dress to wear under my graduation gown. I went to various stores to find this dress. It took some time, but I managed to find it. I wore it proudly under my gown on May 2016, lost in the joy of every twinkling moment, embracing the magic of someone I had envisioned. And now I will read it in Spanish. Es el atardecer envuelta en un remolino de tela, me puse un precioso vestido blanco, el espejo me devolvió la sonrisa. El mundo era un escenario, una recién graduada. Recuerdo que en mayo de 2016 busqué un vestido para llevar debajo de mi toga de graduación. Fui a varias tiendas hasta encontrarlo. Me llevó algún tiempo, pero al final lo encontré. Lo llevé con orgullo debajo de mi toga el día de graduación en mayo de 2016. Me dejé llevar por la alegría de cada momento brillante, abrazando la magia de ser quien había soñado ser.
What if? On March 22nd, 1986, I got dressed up. What was the occasion? Marriage. I wore a suit and tie and a white shirt. Who did I marry? Betty Wahlberg. We arrived at the church early, but I soon found I forgot the marriage certificate at home. Panic. How could we get married? My brother, the policeman, offered to give me a ride home because he didn't want me to get a speeding ticket. We raced home. I found the certificate, and we started back. During the ride back, I started to express doubts about getting married. My brother said some of these were just last-minute jitters, and some were real concerns. He said, "It's too late now. If you have these kind of concerns, you should have talked to somebody." I thought that's what I was doing. We made it back. The wedding went off without a hitch, but maybe I still harbored doubts. We got divorced after 16 years.
one day on Valentine's Day in Dearborn Heights, Michigan, my two sisters, Karen and Janie, I wore our favorite red sleeveless dresses with our own white shirts underneath them and white tights and black patent leather shoes. I think they had cut out red hearts for the pockets. I know my sister still has her dress. They were really cute.
My name is Renee. I would love to be like my mom. She was one of the coolest people I ever knew. She was a very hard worker. My mom was a single parent. She had bipolar. She worked as a waitress at a diner called the High Hat on Hennepin Avenue in South Minneapolis. She didn't graduate from high school since she had to work to take care of her family. I always wondered why she didn't get her GED. We lived at 1508 West Lake Street, apartment 8, which is demolished now from a fire. I had to do the laundry since my mom was at work. The laundry room was in the basement, and I had a yellow laundry basket. I hated going in the basement. It was very scary in the basement. Mom took the number 12 bus to and from work. She was also a waitress at the 908 Bar and Bullpen in Hopkins, Minnesota. I was always excited to see her like I had never seen her before in my life. One time, I slept on the stairs at the apartment building because I got scared in our apartment. Why? Why was I scared? I don't know. Maybe it was after a bat got into the apartment or something. Eventually, I made new friends who had played Hansel and Gretel with me. We used white rocks for breadcrumbs. Looking back, I felt sorry because my mom was struggling with bipolar. I didn't know about it. It wasn't until I was older. She worked a lot, so my dad used to bring me to see my mom at work. I was very little. I miss my mommy so much, and I still do.
Hello again. I'm gonna read my second poem. The woman on the 3:45 p.m. Metro Mobility bus, lost in her book, A World I Can Only Imagine, because focusing is my biggest obstacle. Her hand worn but gentle, turning the pages. Never met her or spoken to her, yet I know her silhouette against the afternoon sun, a quick picture in my day. La mujer del autobús de Metro Mobility de las 3:45 p.m. estaba absorta en su libro. Un mundo que solo puedo imaginar porque concentrarme es mi mayor obstáculo. Sus manos curtidas pero delicadas pasaban las páginas. Nunca la he conocido ni he hablado con ella, pero reconozco su silueta recortada contra el sol de la tarde. Un momento fugaz en mi día.
And this is another piece by Kate. Grandpa Paul was my safety net. He could take away the feelings of darkness when I was a little girl. Grandpa made me feel special. And I always felt like he believed in me. I never felt bad about myself when we were together. Being a little girl who snuck cookies out of the pantry didn't matter. Being a little girl who wasn't good at sports didn't matter. Being a little girl that felt unhappy a lot would disappear when Grandpa Paul was near. Evaluating my childhood hero now only makes me respect him more. Grandpa Paul could melt all of the shame away. Now that is some kind of magic.
My favorite bedroom was the one meant for a little boy. It had wallpaper on it with little dinosaurs stamped on it in primary colors on a field of white, interspersed with polka dots. There were T-Rexes, Stegosauruses, Triceratops, and Brontosauruses. The carpeting was cobalt blue. I was 16. I had a bunch of band posters to cover up the dinosaurs, being the 90s. I had Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Nine Inch Nails, and I think Tool. It was a weird time. I strung up several strings of black lights. They made the wallpaper glow, and the dinosaurs looked like they were moving. I'd burned incense in there, and my dad thought it was to cover the weed I must have been smoking. I wasn't. I just liked incense. The closet was a big walk-in with a built-in bench to put shoes on. I'd sit on it to read books and write spooky poetry. I'd blast my stereo, and my dad thought I was worshiping the devil. I wasn't. I just read Jane Austen and had my music cranked up. I'm sad to grow up and out of that room. I miss the dinosaurs.
And now we'll finish up with a group poem, which is a snippet of a word or phrase that happened in the writing during the day. And we would do this every time that we would meet. And then we would put together in a random order that also kind of always worked out. So our group poem to finish it up here.
My greatest fear was telling my husbands I wanted a divorce.
I want to hang with Bob Dylan and have a beer.
I learned that I was stronger than I know.
I'll miss his knowledge, his friendship, and his company.
I'm intelligent no matter what anyone says.
I love my snow pants so much I could live in them.
I'm like a feather in the wind being blown.
I am bound by the ground over which I trod.
Inspired and mesmerized.
Many of you have seen me in the past, always with a cover on my lap. I was afraid of being judged because of my legs, my body. There are reasons for my size, but that does not matter. What's important and what matters is my perception of me. In my mind, I am gigantic. I'm afraid people will think I have no self-control, I overeat, I don't exercise. It's all my fault. It's human nature to judge. I know that. But there's a stigma against people who are overweight. When I'm out in public, there are people who refuse to look at me, or they glance quickly and never acknowledge I'm human. It's clear they can't get away fast enough. And so I internalize their rejection to mean that I shouldn't be seen. I pretend that I'm not aware of my body or that I take up too much space, and so it goes on and on. But I see, I hear, I feel. Today, I'm a work in progress. I've decided to share my story without a blanket or a shield to hide behind. And to be honest, I feel vulnerable. This is a step towards self-acceptance and making peace with who I am and how I look. Plus, it's too dang hot up here to wear a blanket on my lap.
Hi, my name is Mike. It's been a long time, but I broke the cycle of hearing voices. I still get paranoid and other things once in a while, but I've conquered most of my symptoms. I used to write in a journal when I first came down with my mental illness. Most of it was about finding God and about my days with bad voices. Sometimes I'd go to my dad's house to work on cars and I would hear voices. They'd pretty much put me in the bed until they would leave. After a while, they stopped talking to me. I was okay.
My name is Frank. Before my illness, I had all my experience, all of my confidence. I have only gratitude for the people who never quit on me right to this very day. Although my abandonment shows through my suffering, my soul remains with them.
My name is Jane. This is called My Friend Fern. I had a neighbor and best friend named Fern. We would sit out on the patio and talk, maybe smoke and drink coffee. We would go to the dollar store to browse and to spend money on candy and wrapping paper. But one night in April of 2025, Fern went into her apartment and never came out. I listened to her being psychotic, saying someone was going to kill her. I watched Fern throw things out the window like her TV. I knocked on her door because I wanted to help. She answered the door with her underwear over her clothes. I knew something was wrong, and I tried calling her son for help. It was sad, and I cried tears. I wish I could have helped you. Fern, I wish I could have helped you. I just want the old Fern back.
What color am I? My colors describe me as a spiritual being. Red like the fire in my soul. Turquoise like the new beginnings I keep working on and creating in my life. Yellow like the hot summer sun beating down on my face. White like the color of spirit in my soul, which helps me to carry on. Thank you for the healing colors and the protecting colors in my life, God, Jesus, and Holy Spirit. Every day in every way I get to carry on. And for that I'm grateful. And gratitude leads me on to a positive, powerful life. Thank you, God.
The colors. The color red painted my smile. The color blue painted my heart. The color yellow painted my soul. I could have painted the sky purple and the clouds red. I could have painted the trees white and the grass yellow. I could have painted the sand peach and the oceans black. What if I painted the birds as a rainbow and the rain fell brown and the heart painted itself?
My name is Robin. In the summer of 1980, my sister Rosemary decided she was going to keep her 5-year-old daughter, Teresa, but her 6-year-old son, Robert, she would put up for adoption. At the time, I was 16 and living in San Diego with my father. But there was no question that I would raise Robert as my own. After all, I was already juggling several adult roles at home, at work, and in high school. However, I quickly learned we wouldn't have any peace living with my racist, abusive father. He would drink and cuss and hit Robert and call him the N-word. And that was it. We were done living in San Diego.
Hi, my name is Tony. It's been a long time since I came to Uptown Vail. The last time was in December 2025. January of this year was very difficult for me. I was plagued by a recurring bout of depression and anxiety. It didn't help that 3,000 ICE operatives invaded our state, and we had to watch our neighbors and loved ones called criminals and domestic terrorists by the president, the vice president, and Kristi Noem, or see them get dragged from their cars and thrown into detention centers. People who used to come weekly to the food shelf at Walker Church to get groceries stopped coming. They were afraid to leave their houses. And so members of our church started delivering food to them. And then we learned about Renee Good and Alex Preddy, and it affected me. It made my depression worse. Eventually, I asked a friend to take me to the emergency department at Fairview Riverside Hospital, and that was at the end of February.
I was 17, Robert was 7, and I was worried and anxious because I didn't know if I could execute our plan to run away from home. We would wait till my father was at work to pack our things and take them to the hotel where we spent our last couple of nights in San Diego. My boss, who owned the hotel, let us stay for free. Then he took us to the airport. Once we were airborne, I cried. When we landed in Minnesota, I was happy. I found a job, I graduated from high school, and life went on.
I was feeling suicidal when they admitted me to the partial hospital program at Fairview Riverside. It was an intense and all-encompassing program. There was therapy 5 days a week from 9 to 3. But thanks to the support of a wonderful team of therapists, psych nurses, a great psychiatrist, and the bond and friendships I made with several of my fellow patients, I was able to mend and graduate from the program in mid-March. I left feeling a lot better and prepared to take on new challenges.
A couple of years later, Robert's sister, Teresa, finally came for a visit. I asked my sister, Rosemary, if Teresa could stay and live with us. She said yes. Unfortunately, over the next couple of years, my sister and I fell out of touch. Then out of nowhere, a detective reached out to me in September to let me know that Rosemary had died and her body had been in the morgue since May. I was devastated. Teresa was sad, but Robert was angry that he never got a chance to tell her off. It took a year, but eventually their father figured out I was receiving survivor's benefits on behalf of his kids. And so he took them away from me. He blew all their money on weed and other drugs. The kids stopped going to school and started running the streets. I tried to go through the courts to get them back, but it didn't happen. Today, my nephew Robert is a maintenance man at a hotel. He never married, and he doesn't have children. Go figure. My niece Teresa raised 4 kids. She's now a grandma. She drives an 18-wheeler and stays busy to avoid being asked to babysit. A smart mover, she says.
One day at a time. I wake up every morning and make a sketch of the day ahead of me. The weeks are difficult and the months a struggle. The bond I'm always creating starts now and continues through all time. It starts on one day and comes through every tomorrow.
It's been 8 years since my diagnosis of endometrial cancer and the subsequent surgery to remove my uterus and ovaries. I am cured supposedly, but the possibility that cancer could return is never far from my thoughts. It started with spotting, even though I was done with that part of my life since I was in my early 50s. I remember being in that small, cramped office, and I didn't hear anything after she said the word cancer. How could this be? Suddenly, the threat of dying was real. After a lifetime of not wanting to live because I carried memories of abuse and consequent anxiety, depression, and PTSD, and suddenly, there in that office, I made a choice to live. My doctor said she got it all. She said there were no signs in my lymph nodes, but I know stray cancer cells could be hidden. It could return and rear its head at any time. And so I am vigilant. I watch. I wait.
Long walk. It was 8 p.m. I went for a walk. I walked 10 miles and found myself beside a restaurant dumpster. The scent kept me going for another 5 miles. I had enough change in my pocket to buy a cup of coffee. I remember seeing a priest while I was sipping my coffee. I walked another 10 miles by the interstate and through a park. I returned home at 6:30 a.m. My mother was awake and told me that my girlfriend was at the hospital. Her water had broken. It was that morning my daughter was born. This was the only time I saw her. We let her go for adoption. Her name was Sarah.
Our skin glowed like gold, shining from inside a golden house. It made me feel like she wasn't real, like she had been drawn in a cartoon. Her glow was out of this world. She owned every room she entered. Her eyes carried fire. Her smile melted my heart. Her soul was heavy, but her spirit was light. It's the melanin popping, I told myself. It's the melanin that inspires me. It's the melanin, sealed in a heart of gold. It lights a fire that sparks my soul.
The person that inspired me the most was a supervisor of mine, an elder Native American woman named Rita Rogers. Rita was from White Earth, a reservation in northern Minnesota. She was the head of the Heart of the Earth Indian School in southeast Minneapolis. I applied for a cook's position with her. She was full of questions. She asked if I had ever cooked for a large amount of people and could I cook Native American food. My answer, no to all of her questions. For some reason, she hired me anyway. She stood up and looked at me directly and said, "I am going to make an Indian cook out of you, even though you told me you can't cook." She trained me hard in Native American food, like fry bread, venison, Three Sisters stew. I worked so hard, she also told me I had to wash the dishes and mop the floor. I asked her why I had to do those things when my position was a cook. She said that I was going to learn all aspects of the kitchen. Eventually, she felt confident in me, and she would stay up whiter sometimes, and she would call down and tell me to handle it. I was nervous about cooking for that many people without her around, but I cooked for the kids and the school staff. I had learned the kitchen and had high respect for her. She even took me to White Earth once for a baby naming ceremony.
What makes me happy is when two hearts meet. I'm always satisfied when I'm with somebody who has a kind heart. It disturbs me to find someone in distress without a happy heart, but it is my belief that even in the worst of times, the heart will prevail.
When I was 8 and my sister was 16, we would lay out in the sun to get a tan. I always wanted to do what my sister did, but sometimes I couldn't do because she was 16 and I was 8. I felt cool because I was laying out with somebody older than me, listening to Elvis and the Beatles on our transistor radio. My sister had an idea of getting tanner faster. She mixed a concoction of iodine and baby oil, and she put it all over herself, so naturally I did too. We lay there in the sun, and then my mother came out. She was a woman who never raised her voice, but she raised her voice then. I don't know what she said to my sister, but she hauled me into the house and put me in the shower. My sister went next. We couldn't get the iodine out, so my mother had 2 orange daughters.
I remember during summer school at Southwest High School, me and my friend Jeremy from Hawaii and my Tibetan friends would go skateboarding at Lake Harriet after school. There were some stairs to do tricks off and a nice curving grind to grind or slide on. I was always jealous of my friend Adam's tail slide, something I couldn't do as well as the other guys. We had to be careful to look out for security because they would catch you and kick you out.
Am I growing old? There are things I could do then that I cannot do now. If I think about it, it makes sense. When you are young, you are just ready to start. When you grow old, much of what you were ready to start is now done. There is no need to start if it's already at completion.
We rise up, up we rise.
Rise to find the sun again. Rise to find who we are now.
We survive the past with compassion, with care, with love. We rise again, a phoenix of self, finding who we are, past, present, and future. With resilience, we rise.
Once, in the middle of an occupation, someone gave me a kazoo. I said I had nothing left, and she said hum. Humming was what I had left. It sounded like a question. Warplanes roared over my head and bumped their noses against the stars. I asked the rain how long it will weep and hummed O Holy Night as if it were Christmas. Once, in the middle of bomb sirens, I stayed outside. I opened a pomegranate full of scarlet seeds. I fed myself. I fed others. Dear Kazoo, I ask, what is freedom? I've never had much of it. I do have my breath and a friend who makes it audible. I feel joy when I play you for others. What is freedom? Come, we hum like the living. We are cherry blossoms and all the wild things. Hallelujah.
Hi, my name is Ben Ellis, and this piece is called "Loving Yourself is Punk Rock." I wake up bright and early at 7 to call Social Security at 8 o'clock as soon as it opens. Today is also when I'm supposed to get my shower from my aide. But that's usually around 8:30, so hopefully Social Security will pick up before it's shower time. Hi, Sarah. Oh, you want to give me my shower now? I'm still waiting to reach Social Security, so I'm going to have to pass on my shower today. I'll call you if I need help with my socks and shoes. Thanks, Sarah. Bye. Cripes! I wish I hadn't done that. Hopefully Social Security picks up in the next 4 hours. Finally, they picked up at 9:10. Hello, my number. Oh, you need my info. Well, my phone number is. And my phone number is. I need help. Oh, I need help resetting my password to get into my account. Oh, you don't do that anymore. Haven't done it in years. I should call this other number. Thanks for letting me know. Right now, I have a plan A and a plan B. Plan A is going to be call the number the Social Security office gave me, and my plan B is to scream the loudest profanity you have ever heard. Well, it looks like I'm going with plan B. Okay, I need to chill. I think I'm going to watch an episode of Doctor Who. That'll calm me down. I watch The Face of Evil and eat a lunch of better cheddars, nutty bars, and have a cherry Diet Coke to wash it down. The rest of the day has been okay, but then the voices start speaking to me. I want to take a nap, but a memory comes to me. I'm at a holiday market in Uptown supporting local artists and encouraging people to come buy art at Steph, Rachel, and Michelle's table when suddenly a messenger appears. Hearing this was like a punch in the gut. I began to cry. I hate crying in front of my friends and family. I hate showing my vulnerable side to those who care about me. I start to leave, and suddenly a fancy artist beckons to me.
I have drawings of famous silent movie stars as chickens, vegetables, and rock that look like rocks, and inspiration.
Inspiration, you say? Tell me more.
Well, Ben, I've been looking around today.
Whoa, time out. How do you know my name?
It's a plot device. Let's not debate about it. As I was saying, Ben, I can tell by looking at you that you've had a rough day. As a fancy artist, I'm allowed to give inspiration to those who need it.
Okay, what's your inspiration? Loving yourself is punk rock? He handed me the sticker. It said, loving yourself is punk rock? Oh, okay, I get it. I'm going to love myself because loving myself is punk rock.
Growing up on the spectrum, being autistic was not easy. I had a lot of hurdles. I was born asleep with low upper body strength, as well as I dealt with lead exposure as a kid. But being here now like this, I guess you would not have guessed that. People weren't always sure if I'd be able to function normally like the other kids. However, my mom was adamant that I would get help. I went to physical therapy as a kid. I didn't always like it, but Hershey's Kisses and strawberry and cream gummies made it all worth it. I went from not being able to ride a bike or use a zip line to being able to do that. And if it weren't for all that hard work, I probably would not be able to speak in front of you like this. In some ways, I was also delayed, especially with socialization and being able to understand people. I did not always understand what a lot of people meant. So it was hard for me to keep and maintain friendships. It even went as far as mindlessly parroting deplorable jokes my cousin told me that I would not repeat here. And after so many years of feeling misunderstood and judged and struggling to connect people, that one thing that I learned is learning not to care as much is a part of my journey to recover from mental health. And in some ways, for years, I also struggled with depression and loneliness because of that. And I gave into different vices. It was so bad that I did not plan on living past the age 23. I told myself that when I turned 23 that I would end my life. But then a miracle happened, and I had a crazy spiritual awakening, and though you may say it's woohoo, I would say getting saved in my life. I got sober from alcohol, overcame my depression, learned not to give in to my vices, and over time I got better at connecting to people. Going to Vail opened up the door for me to connect with other communities as well. Also, for years I also dealt with feeling trapped in inadequate housing situations or dealing with toxic family or roommates. And now that I got out of it, I've started a whole new life, and that is why I feel inspired to advocate for people who might relate. For I know that sharing my story can make a difference. And yeah, I told myself that that I would die at 23, but here I am at 27. So remember, it may be hard now, but you never know where you can go unless you keep on going.
Awe. I often wonder about the meaning of this word. I don't think that it has a meaning. By that I mean, awe is a feeling and a sensation beyond all intellectual definition. I wonder constantly where my awe has gone. Wherever I go, whether it is any of the clubhouses or the Afro-Contigo dance classes in Brooklyn Center, SOT classes, the Threads Dance Project in Minneapolis, or even just going to the library or walking in the park, it's as though the world itself is just a background filter to my inner torment. I am a man possessed by his own demons, unable to see through the smoke screens that obscure the richness of life. This wasn't always the case. I was in awe of everything. The smell of biryani, the post-credit promos that would come on for other anime after the Pokemon VHS tapes we owned were finished. Japanese role-playing games and Dungeons & Dragons. Thunderstorms. The Indian music, mostly Tamil, Christian pop, and some older film songs that would play from speakers. The Tropics Center at the Minnesota Zoo. Mitch walking out in his hoop dances. The ancient Egyptians. Hindu mythology. The documentaries about Polynesia my dad brought back from his trips. Too many delights for the soul to bathe in. Gradually, over time, the awe was lost. The inner rapture of being transfixed by the world gave way to a harsh realization. This is not normal. I cannot be an adult living in awe. That and in medication is trauma and some other things. There is an Indian fantasy author I heard about, a domestic one, who gave a talk about his writing, and he said something, a random quote about something like he gave up his passion for history and writing because something he became a banker. That is one of the most horrifying statements I have ever heard. I don't know how, but I'm going to chase down my awe, pin it down, wrangle with it, and then never let go.
This gift is not something that someone had given to me. This gift was earned through many difficult situations in life. It is something that has come out of a lot of suffering and hurt. I had to get lost before I found it. This gift is not something that can be held in your hands or worn on your body. It comes from within, a quiet yet fierce strength that whispers in the spaces between the difficult moments of life. one that says, "You got this. You will be okay. Trust me." This gift has allowed me to learn and grow and gain deep insight into the world around me. This is a gift of insight, strength, and empathy. Now, this is the best gift I have ever received, and it is something that I gifted to myself, which makes it even more meaningful.